got here where we are because someone chose to see the good when it was easier to see the bad. Leadership is affirming the worth and potential in another person in a so clear way that they begin to see that in their own self. I'm starting with this quote, like I said, quote phrase, because back then, 2020, I will say 2020, I was not able to see clear, not even clear. I was not able even to hold something bigger about me. The way that I was living my life back then in early 2019, I started with my self-development journey. But I came across, thanks God, to Megan, this woman that she's not only, and I'm going back to the presentation, she's not only a spiritual mindset and manifestation coach, but she is more than that. She's a truly soul that cares. She was able to see the potential. She was able to see what I was not able to see, to speak, not only to speak life into me, but also to bring that hope and allow me to close that gap between where I was and now where I am. So she's a soul sister. She's, like I said, she's a spiritual mindset. She's helping thousands of people through her life work, not only with her one-on-ones, but also with a powerful, and if you already know her, if you've been seeing her maybe on Facebook or Instagram or maybe TikTok, that she has a beautiful program called Reality Hackers, where really in only in a short period of time, we can close that gap and start creating our reality consciously. I also would love to mention that she's one of the women that has this gift of being patient. I was recalling some of the memories when we used to work together, and I was just like, how she was able to hold the space, how she was able even to trust. And now you understand that not only was your mission, but your big heart and all the things that you went through. And I'm so grateful for that. But I can go on and on. Please stop me here. I can go on and on and on. I would love for you to introduce yourself. Please introduce yourself, Megan. Let us know who you are, what are you doing right now, and what led you here. And now you're about to hear from this legend. Take it over, Megan.
Thank you so much, Graciela. It's so wonderful to be here and to be on this side of things. I remember when we met, I think it was at a Bob Proctor event, however many years ago. And the transformation that I've had the privilege of witnessing in your life is wonderful. And you come to mind a lot because there's a phrase that you have said to me before that has actually got me through some challenging times. And and it was just so simple. And you're just like, Megan, I'm so thankful that you didn't quit.
Oh,
Because there's been moments since we've even worked together that I've been like, and I think any businesswoman or anybody having a business has these moments where like, I just want to quit. I just don't want to do this anymore, whatever. And then I'd think of you. And when you'd say, I'm so glad you didn't quit. And I'd be like, okay, there's other people that I want to serve and I want to help. And that's kept me going. So thank you for that and for being that in my life. I really appreciate it. But yes, I always have a hard time with titles because I feel like a very fluid person, but if we need a title, I would say something along the lines is I'm a spiritual mindset coach, and I teach on manifestation, and not just that surface level, do your vision boards and affirmations, but really into the energy and the frequency of things, into quantum physics. And I work with people one-on-one doing energy work. One of the modalities I use is called the emotion code, amongst other things. And then obviously I do group coaching and healing as well. And I've been doing that 5-ish years, I'm going to say. Before that, I had built successful businesses in network marketing and affiliate marketing, and I continue with different affiliate projects as they align. But the core of what I'm doing now is strictly in the coaching and healing space.
I love to hear that. And yeah, I forgot to mention, like, I think I focus on more in the like this, and as you can tell, I'm really emotional about this conversation. I think I focus more on that. But I mentioned that yes, you have built amazing business, not only in the high ticket or on the affiliate side, but also you have helped people through those sources of income, like bringing more ideas and just to having that financial independence as well. So I would love to hear more, and I think more of the listeners will really appreciate. Like I mentioned for the second time, we always see the beauty. We always see the results of traveling. And we were commenting this, like living in beautiful places or having access to products or services that not many people have access, right? But I would love to, if you can bring us back, how was your life? I will say, or what bring you here? What at least 3 points of those 3 points, where were those 3 points that got you here? How you built, how that legend was built, if I
Mm,
can mention that.
yes. As I look back on the journey, if I could summarize kind of, like you said, the points to bring me to where I am now. I grew up in I think a lot of our journey, and Napoleon Hill has said this in one of his books, The Law of Success in 16 Lessons, one of the greatest gifts to men, to humans, is to be born poor, because it creates a burning desire in us for change and to go further in our lives. And I was born into a family, very conservative, traditional, small farming community. And so I grew up with a lot of paradigms and a lot of limiting beliefs around myself, around money, around what's possible in life, and a lot of guilt and a lot of shame. And I lived with that. And there was a point where I was married, and I think I'm going to say I had my first child already, and I think I was pregnant with my second. And
Yeah,
I remember a moment where I was sitting down, or I just had sat down on the kitchen floor and I was just crying. I think I had one of my kids, the older one, had a huge disaster in the basement or something like that. And it was just like, and I felt, is this all there is to life? I remember as a young girl having big dreams, and I was like, I wasn't living it. I wasn't living it. I was just doing the normal, like, existing, barely being able to pay the bills, and not really living out my full potential. And I think sometimes as mothers, we have that pull within ourselves between, we want to be loving and caring and really good mothers to our children, but we also are our own people too. We
yeah.
have our own dreams and our own passions, and a lot of times those get sacrificed for, because of the pressure of running a home and having kids and everything like that. And so I had given up on dreams and things that I had for myself, in the role of being a mother. And I was like, I feel like there's more to me than just this,
Yes.
as
Yeah.
beautiful of a role as that is. And for some people, that's my mom, her passion was being a mom and running a home, and that was fulfilling for her, and that's beautiful. But and for me, I was like, I want, there's something else, there's another dynamic to me. And so that was a pivotal moment for me. And it was shortly after that that I was introduced to a network marketing company, and I was like, okay, I can be at home with my kids, and I can, expand and learn and grow and contribute. And I started, and that was my first experience really with entrepreneurship, was being a part of that company. And interestingly enough, it was through that company that an email came out and on self-development. And I grew up in a Christian background or whatever, and I had always been told I had the gift of faith, but no, because I would sort of just get what I wanted, but nobody could explain to me really what that meant. And then a video came through from the company that I was a part of, and it was Bob Proctor talking on paradigms, and that was my introduction to self-development. And I saw that, and my mind just was like, and I became incredibly obsessed with self-development and ultimately manifestation because of that. And what happened is, and this is kind of when you came, around the time that you came into my life, what was happening to me was I was growing this network marketing company, my business with that. And then I was doing mindset coaching for the people that were, to
Yeah.
join my team. And because of the success I was having and what I was posting online, other people were asking me to coach them and to work with them. And I didn't see the value
Mhm.
in me like being paid for my time. I was like, well, you can buy the product and then you'll be on my team and I'm going to help you. And we're like, I'm not interested in your network marketing company. I just want to work with you. And I resisted that for a while. But then I ended up going to an event in LA, and I manifested tickets to the premiere of a movie called Beyond the Secret.
Oh, I remember that.
I had a whole bunch of cool stuff happen for me to be able to go down and be a part of that and walk the red carpet and be interviewed and all that kind of thing. But that's a whole nother story. But through that process, I met Carl Harvey, who was the lead copywriter for Mind Valley. And he's like, Megan, why are you doing network marketing? You should be coaching. You should be in this. Like, this is clearly what you're passionate about and about manifestation. And that was another turning point where he helped me build up my course. And I had my first 6-figure year as just strictly as a coach and doing that because of what, the guidance. And then it just took off from there. And in that time is when you came into my world, when I began that business. So you were a huge part in growing my confidence as as being able to do that as my sole business. And so I think about that often and very grateful for you for that. Because you're always so encouraging, Graciela. This is something that's so amazing about you. And you still do it to this day, years later, where you'll just reach out and just say thank you and I appreciate you. And you build people up and you're a blessing. And I always see, like, whenever I think about you, I think of the word gratitude. Like, you're just always expressing gratitude wherever you go, and encouraging and lifting people up. And you've done that for me. And I'm really thankful for that and that role you played in my life.
Really grateful for that. But um, as you speak really amazing words into my soul, I think now that you mentioned about your background, and I didn't know specifically when was that turning point, and right now I know about this guy Carl that speak that believing to you. But I would love to know if you can share with the listeners as well, what was that process for you? What were your thoughts around like I'm successful building this business with the affiliated marketing. I do have my team. How you grow your identity into that woman of like, you know what, I deserve to be paid, and this is not just like something that, like you said, maybe something can buy and enter into your team. But I think as a coaches, and many of the listeners are coaches or entrepreneurs, they're marking even their prices. They don't see themselves and fully as this leader or fully as this woman that I can charge. And I'm not putting a certain amount of money, but they can charge whatever they want, but they have to see their work before in that, in order to reflect that with people. And sometimes we don't. This is one of the things that for the longest, and let me tell you, I'm being really honest here as well, it took me time, years, like even years, to understand that uh, what I have is valuable. But I was having some wins here and there, but I was not able fully to own and say, you know what, I can lead this coaching business. I can do this. I can offer different products. And I would love to know for you, how was that transition? Like seeing yourself not only as this successful businesswoman building that this team and all that, but seeing yourself as the owner of a worldwide company that is helping people with mindset. And also another thing that I will love to mention later on with the emotional quotes that you mentioned that you do. And I was part of some sessions that are really making the difference for us as an entrepreneurs. But I would love to touch bases first on your identity. What were your thoughts what was your thought process, how you felt during that transition, and what kept you going?
It's a great question. So I think this is something that we all faced. It's that imposter syndrome
Oh,
that we go through, where we're like, we have to show up as the person before we really feel like the person,
yeah.
right? And so I went through the thick of that, and I would it's that inner voice that's like, who do you think you are? And, you know, and that's hard on you, and like, this
Yeah.
isn't gonna work, you know, look at that person over there, they're amazing, but not you. And so we all go through that, and it's part of that journey. But I look at it as a 3-step process. And it's really cool because now that I've worked with, I don't know how many hundreds and thousands of people, um, I've watched the same process happen, and I went through it, and I continue to go through it as I go level up and level up.
Yeah.
And the process is, number one, first is you're deciding who you want to be. So
Oh,
say you're the you're working at a grocery store, or you have a business or whatever as a consultant of some kind, and then you decide, okay, I'm going to be an entrepreneur and I'm going to do my own thing. So you currently have been living in a reality of your previous thinking, ideas, belief systems, or whatever. You're on a frequency, you're in an energy of, I'm an employee and I am a part of a business. And then you decide, I want to go into an experience in a reality where I own my own business. So those are two different versions of you, essentially, on two different frequencies, so to speak. So then what's going to happen is, once we decide, okay, I want to experience this reality of being an entrepreneur and having my own business, now we have to do things, and this is what I went through, of like, and it feels kind of like you're pretending. So I felt like,
yeah.
or I was faking it, or I was, you know, not even, sometimes I was like, I don't even know if I feel like I'm being truly honest. So there's a lot of rockiness that's happening in that period of time. But what you're doing is you're like, I'm choosing this reality, but what happens is we decide that, and we're doing our best to embody that energy. This is the manifestation process of like, okay, I'm choosing to be this woman now, so I got to be, you know, step into my power, be, you know, have that feeling of success and confidence, and that responsibility of owning a business, and I embody that energy. But we're still hearing the echoes of our previous way
Yeah.
of thinking style. So it's not easy to sustain and hold the energy and the vibration of your new reality while you're still seeing the echoes of the old reality. And so that period of time for me, and I think for almost any individual, is when you want to quit, when you want to give up, where you're struggling, when there's days I would just lay down on the floor and I would just cry. I was crying and crying. And, but just like, and the thing that kept me going is, I'll quit tomorrow. And I would just pick myself up and like, let's just keep going, and just kind of kept that persistent attitude, even though the results weren't there. And then I would be very careful. I got better and better at being careful with what I spoke. So if someone would ask, well, how's that business of yours going? Because a lot of times when we're coming out of that old reality, the people in that reality are pretty critical and judgmental of you. And so even though I wasn't making money initially in my business, and was actually going into debt because I was going to all this self-development stuff and everything, I wouldn't say it's going terrible, I'm losing money, nobody's buying anything. I would say it's going really wonderful, I'm learning so much stuff, I'm growing. I didn't lie and say I was making millions of dollars, but I was like, I would focus my attention on the good. And that helped me
To build
up. And so then phase 2, so phase 1 is you kind of choosing what you want to be, building up, or kind of pretending to be that and working on that. Phase 2 is when people when they see you and interact with you, they believe you're that person before it's manifested into your reality. So what I noticed in phase 2 is I was showing up confident online and successful and all that kind of stuff, even before my results were there. And people believed me that I was already making hundreds of thousands of dollars or something like that. And so they would talk to me. People that were making more money than me were asking me for advice and guidance. So that phase 2 is when you start to see your reality is beginning to reflect back to you the energy that you're putting out. And it's really interesting to watch, and you're almost like, wow. And it's kind of, and what that does is now that begins to support you and build your confidence in that you are becoming that person. And that, but we still experience some imposter syndrome there. So for me too, I'd be like, okay, I was showing up online and doing my best with all of that. And then I was starting to see people come to me And then it was definitely insecurities were coming up with that. Like, I can't actually help this person. Who am I to actually do this? But at the same time, that process was happening. And then the third phase is where the energy of the person that you've decided you want to be and the reality actually catch up to it.
Got it. Yeah. I do
Sounds
have a
more-
question, and I know some of the listeners maybe have the same question, or between step 2 and step 3, that step 2 people are still they're coming and start reflecting, and then step 3, when you're solidified, when you are one with the thing that you want, and you also experiment in the 3D, which is just, you have the house, you have the car, you have, you name it, right? Whatever the success or whatever you're working towards. In between those steps, and you mentioned this as well, because you're building something new, how you are part of seeing people mimicking back or mirroring back, I'm sorry, the new frequency, how you deal with the duality when things are just like even getting worse, when those chunks of all reality, how you lead, how you were able to move and trusting that this is a process, that trusting that this is working with the universal laws, that this is not a thing that you're trying to wish or hope that this works. How you were able to move. And like you mentioned one thing interesting, that so many times we want to just quit, or like I just want to stop, or even ourselves the next day, I'm going to quit the next day. But in the moment, how you were able to just like snap out and say, you know what, this is a process, I know what is happening, how you were able to move.
Yeah. I would say a few things. So having a mentor and a coach of some kind, because we're vulnerable in those first two stages, especially, we're very vulnerable. And being able to lean on somebody else's belief in this material, in manifestation, and all of, and that, you can achieve your goals, and that believe in you, that would be a big one. Like, there's been people in my life that, at those points, those low points where I couldn't help myself, I had them to go to, and they could help, pick me up and keep me going. I honestly do think there are those of us, and typically if you're getting into if you are an entrepreneur, you're one of those people, it is an inability to quit. There's something there
There's
where you
something there. Yeah. It's like,
can't
no.
do it. Like, and I don't know if it's something that some of us are born with or what it is, but there is some kind of element where just not quitting is what's going to keep you going through all of these different ups and downs. And then honestly, just for me, it's been immersing myself in the information of manifestation and energy and quantum physics and how we create our realities, and listening to teachers to really ingrain that belief in me, that I get to the point where I can kind of lean on that knowledge to help shift myself in the moment. Because honestly, if you're a woman in business and you have your own business and you're doing this, there gets to be a point, the more you advance through this stuff, the less people you have to go to. There's less people on your level or above you where you can seek help or guidance. So there is an element of really having to do the inner work in yourself in order to, in those moments where you might be struggling or doubting, to you coach yourself, like you work yourself through, your emotions and your doubts, and you are your own guru. We get to that point where you are your own guru. You are the one that's the best. Your higher self is the best one for you to partner with and get that support and guidance from. So I would say it's definitely, depending on where you are in your journey, in your level of consciousness, that's going to look different for each person in terms of what's going to help. For me, at a certain level, it was having coaches, and then going deep into information and study to understand myself spiritually. And then to the ultimate point of where, being able to be in own partnership with my soul, higher self, spirit, in order to go through and the challenges of the ego. It's the ego that's the one that's afraid and scared and has doubts and limiting beliefs and paradigms and all of that. So there's one gets a point where you can sort of observe the ego and not be pulled in and taken all over the place by the ego's fears and everything like that. And then we're able to somewhat free ourselves from that turmoil and suffering.
I love the fact that you mentioned something really amazing that as an entrepreneurs or when about the now we are entrepreneurs, there's something that is never is unwilling to give up. It's like no, it's like once and this remember remind me to Abraham Hicks, but I will say it was in October in the second week of October last year. I went to a seminar here in Dallas. So she was saying, you know what, once you know something is like it's too late. You can never go back. And it's the same thing here. You can never go back. It is, I think this is the thing, we know too much. And
Yeah.
I the part which is kind of, and I'm not gonna put the words on my mouth, but it's challenging, it's the patience. It's like we want the things now. It's like, like you just explain it so well. Like we've been living in a frequency, we've been acting, we've been thinking thoughts, we've been acting, thinking, behaving, all those things from in another whole character. And now we want the things right now. And it's a process. And but I love the fact that you mentioned about those 3 steps because are really, really clear. Like deciding who you are, that understanding the changes, the things that can come, and you start seeing people that are reflecting, mirroring that back, and then that becomes your home. And another key point that you mentioned as well, and I really love that, is that at one point, you of course you have mentors, less and less, but you always have someone. But at the final of the day, you enter into this beautiful relationship with yourself, and you acknowledge when you're divagating, you acknowledge when the ego, the programmation, the autopilot kick in, and you're able to snap out. And I think that is one of the most beautiful gifts with the life work that you do, Megan, that sometimes, and like you mentioned as well, like sometimes I do have just like those moments that I just was so grateful, and I send messages and all that, because it's like, even if the things are not going in the way that the ego or I want it, it's like, no, I'm really blessed. I mean, and it's all the teachings and the integration that people like you are putting into people's lives. And that is really amazing.
Yeah, it's one of the things is I always encourage people. I know we all have our goals and I know we're all driving towards the things that we want, and we can really take life very seriously.
Yeah.
And can't remember who it was that said it, dang it, but it's a quote. It's that people suffer needlessly because they take too seriously the things that the gods intended for fun. Our soul came into this lifetime to play a game. It doesn't care whether it wins or loses. It just wants to play.
Oh God, that part is like, oh, damn it.
No, and so when, if that's something I always want to share with people is all of this stuff you're wanting to achieve and take with and do and the money you want to make in the cars is all beautiful and wonderful, but you're not taking it with you when you die. And people will spend their whole life not fully living, putting off living based on an end result. And so for us to come back into play, and this is a very feminine quality that has been quite lost, is playfulness. And encouraging women especially to bring that playfulness into our businesses and into our families and in with our kids and with ourselves, that as we are creating and going through these processes of transformation, to not take it so seriously. And that is honestly a fast track to getting to where you want to go. It's just, don't take all this stuff so seriously. Don't be so hard on yourself. Be light with yourself, be playful with yourself, laugh at yourself. And as you're moving forward, the journey becomes a whole lot more fun. And just really encouraging that. And I believe this was something that I worked with you, Graciela, as well, was trying to get you to go out and have fun.
Oh God, it was really hard. Even just like I remember that you said, go have fun, have a drink, or like, I can't. I was like, I can't. It was like, and right now I look back and it's like, I was just able, like, there's so much, yeah, to integrate and all that. But you mentioned this part, and I would love to, like, if you can share with us some practices that you do, like, I would really love how to bring that playfulness when bills are coming, when maybe we are in debt, where maybe we are growing a business and we have this culture of saying, you know what, you have to put your head down for the next 3 5 years and all the masculine. And I know there's work involved, and I'm bringing this example because most of the listeners are entrepreneurs. We know that the business, of course, has different stages as well as us. But how you were able to make that separation of that, like building a business and bringing that playfulness also while you grow?
So from a convicted, hardworking, list-making, goal-oriented person, so I'm not, my natural state is not playfulness. So just to make that clear. So I'm not asking anybody to do something that I haven't worked on myself and hasn't necessarily been the easiest thing for me. But if we had more time, I could go a lot more into depth about energy, frequency, and vibration. But ultimately, anything that we desire, we're actually, the goals and everything that we have is because we might think like, oh, I want to make this amount of money so I can have this house and car, whatever. You actually are after the feeling of those things.
Yeah.
And it's a feeling. You want to feel free. You want to feel abundant. You want to feel confident. You want to feel loved. A lot of people want, they're looking for that partnership. So when we understand it's the feeling that we're after, and we can begin to release our attachment so much on the stuff and the end result. And that's actually the energy shift that needs to happen in order for us to manifest the stuff that we want. Because the universe operates by vibration, energy, frequency. That's the language of the universe. So you saying, I want to hit this goal, I want to have this thing, and just working really, really, really hard to get there, you're in a vibration, you're in an energy that isn't of one of freedom. It isn't of happiness and joy and peace. It's in things are hard, life is hard, money is hard to make, and the universe has no option but to say yes to that. So you just keep getting more. Life is hard, more money is hard to earn. I have to work so hard and I'm not appreciated. You just get that. Yes. You keep getting a reflection of your energy. So when I understood that, when I really deeply was like, okay, I'm going to get a reflection of who I am being, not of what I want, not of this version of me that 10 years down the road has this amount of money and flashy stuff. No, all I can do is create in this now moment. What do I actually want in life? It's not the money, it's what the money will give me. It's the feeling. I can have that feeling now, but by shifting up my perspective and thinking and believing something differently. And if the universe has no option but to say yes to me, on the negative side, that's why we keep manifesting stuff we don't want, because we're in feelings of lack and frustration and limitation and anxiety and impatience and all that kind of thing. But on the positive side, if we deliberately shift our energy into a place of positivity and playfulness and gratitude and peace and ease, the universe has no option but to also say yes to that and mirror that back to us. So having that understanding was what really helped me be like, okay, Megan, you have to let go of your belief system that you have to work super hard and suffer and struggle to be successful, because that's not a life I want to live. And that helped me be like, I want to feel peace. I want to feel joy. I want to feel lightness in my life. How do I do that right now? So dancing was one of the ones for me. That was a big one for me, because my whole life I was like nervous and like shy about dancing. And I would look at other people that would dance and I'd be like, man, that looks so fun. So I was just like, screw it, I'm gonna go and dance. And I just started going to like different events and I started dancing and being free and letting loose. And it really loosened up my energy. And even if you don't go out and you just do it in your kitchen or
like you just put the radio on or whatever
and dance, it's like honestly one of the most healing and liberating things for us to do, especially as women. And then your sexuality, like being more open and more free and releasing shame around that and allowing yourself pleasure. Women have so often been shamed around experiencing pleasure, but our sexuality and our sensuality is where our power really lies. And so I've worked on myself to open up in that area as well and to be more liberated, so to speak. And that helped me shift myself energetically to the extent that we can receive pleasure is to the extent that we can receive money. abundance, success. So you want to be utilizing practices in order to experience more pleasure. So I would, even sensuality doesn't just have to be sexually, but it can be just like that you just take a moment and you feel the softness of your skin and you're just present with that. And you begin to feel the pleasure. Like even if you just rub your hands, for those who are watching this, just rub your hands together, you're going to notice it feels really lovely, but we never pay attention to it. And so little practices like that, where you just enjoy pleasure. I would treat myself and have, go out and you go to the spa or whatever, go outside for walks and things like that, in order to just begin to enjoy and begin to shift into a vibration where I felt good and where I was laughing, I was having fun, and I wasn't being so strict with myself all the time. And I was spending money on myself. And then I began to see as I did that, that's when my income really started to go up, was when I began to have more fun.
Yeah, you explain it so well, and I would love to have another podcast talking about just money and pleasure, because this is one of the things that are like so tight. We don't even want to talk about it like that, and
Yeah.
so much. I will say, even if it is not shame, so much things attached, so much labels that we don't see that actually maybe that little slightly tweak can make the difference, like you said, in the business and even the people. One thing that I noticed as well, like you said, doing little practices here and there, or even when you feel good about you, like even without having a certain milestone, when you feel good, people can tell. People can tell us like, oh, you're more relaxed. You're not trying to get. It's not like a needy, wanted energy, and you can tell it. You can tell, and I think living in that, or I'm not going to use the word trying, but doing our best to remain in that energy, I think is one of the actually work that we need to do, that is required to actually solidify the things that we're doing as well. So I think that is really important. And one thing that I would love to go in depth in another, we can do another one, is about the emotions, because so many times we don't know about this topic. I didn't knew about before you introduced me to this, is that so many times we have so many trapped emotions in our body that are actually vibrating, and we are doing all this hard work, or doing all the things that we supposed to be doing, and getting results like mixed match results. And I would love for you just to touch a little bit here. Like I said, for sake of time, we don't have that. But if you can just in a quick minute can share how those emotions either can affect or benefit or life work or life in general.
Sure. So the reason that I went into this kind of work is because I'd been, like you, to the paradigm shift with Bob Proctor multiple times, and I would watch people. There'd be certain people that they were doing all the right things. They were writing out all the affirmations. They were reading all the books. If you asked them any question, they had all the answers, but their results weren't changing. And then there were some people, it's like no matter what they did, it just seemed to work. And I was like, what is going on here? Why is this person that's doing all the right stuff still just the results aren't there, versus the person who doesn't really try that hard and it goes through the roof? And that led me down the path of really understanding energy and what's the programming, everything that's going on in the subconscious mind. And what happens is, like I said before, so vibration is the language of the universe. Everything is energy, and it's all vibrating. We look at you, we look at the table, we look at color, sound, light. It's all energy vibrating on different frequencies. And then that's the primary law, is the law of vibration. The secondary law is the law of attraction. Like attracts like. That is the language of the universe. So what you are vibrating, the energy of you, is what you're going to essentially attract and see reflected back to you in your world. The thing is, there's many things going on that either we possibly have forgotten about, or we've blocked out, or we're not aware of. Everything back from childhood and beyond, you can have inherited this as well from your ancestors.
Mind blowing.
Yeah, yes, from like generations ago. So if you think, even imagine as a little girl, and you are very attached, right, to your parents, and then something so simple as kindergarten, school starts, and your mom takes you to school and leaves you at school, and then you're scared, you're in a new environment, and mom leaves. And you can feel an overwhelming emotion of, say, abandonment. And
Very.
and when we have an overwhelming emotion and we don't really know how to process it, essentially we can trap it, and it can kind of get like stuck energy in our being. And you can carry this with you your whole life. And for some reason, you're like, relationships never work out for me. Like I always, business partners, it falls apart and all this kind of thing. And because under the surface, what's going on with you is you have an abandonment energy going on. And therefore, that's going to be reflected back in your reality through your experiences, through your relationships, and even, with your finances and all that kind of thing. Even if you can be working consciously really, really hard on, I'm wealthy, I'm abundant, I have beautiful, wonderful relationships, and you're like slaving away at your business, because that energy is there. You're going to notice that's going to show up and manifest as maybe self-sabotage, procrastination, working and choosing to work with people that are going to abandon you, who are going to disregard you and not appreciate you, because you're tuned to that. So you're activating it in your reality, and therefore it's going to keep showing up for you. So until we go and heal that abandonment blockage, we're going to keep seeing it in our reality. And this is why, I do what I do, because I want to help people with that stuff. They don't really realize what's going on, because people just end up blaming themselves. Like, what's wrong with me? I'm not good enough. I can't do it. And don't understand the whole energy dynamics that are at play. So we need to look at, and that would be essentially, you hear online about shadow work, is looking at that side of yourself that maybe you've suppressed and you feel shameful about, you don't want to look at. We need to actually face it, process it, and then transmute it, so that we can let that energy go, essentially. And then we start to see things really shift in our reality, which is pretty cool.
I love that. I love the way that you through the years integrated also this type of tool, because like you said, we can apply all in the self-development things, but if we don't work, and this is one work that, like, it don't has to be overwhelming. Like you said, we can see it as a part of the journey, part of the things that we must do in order to not only have a successful business, but also a successful life, something that feels really right. And I really love the fact that you are complementing this, because not many of us we're not even aware of this, but that is happening behind the scenes, because sometimes it's like you said, it's subconscious things that we already forgot. But bringing now into this and combining with also coaching, I think to wrap it up this, I think coaching is one of the most beautiful tools that we can have, like in our pocket. And I would love for you, Megan, to share with us where we can find you. I'm gonna put, of course, the links and all that either um, above this video or also on the podcast. But I would love to share with you, to share with us, what are you doing right now, how we can enter into your role. If someone right now it's now something is clicking about, like, well, maybe for me it's something working on the emotional part, or looking doing the shadow work. What are the tools that you now have available for the people that will join you right away or being part of your world?
So I'm active on Instagram and YouTube. I have a YouTube channel. So if you're looking for teaching this kind of stuff, I would encourage you to go to those two avenues. And then my website, megankamei.com, is a way to reach me as well through there. I have lots of free tools and things that you can take advantage of. And then if you message me or my assistant will get back to you as soon as possible.
That. Thank you so much, Megan. This conversation is one of the ones that I just really like adore. I was just really like really excited for this conversation. And the last question here, or not question, it's not even a question. What it will be one phrase, one word that describe you, that describe one of your superpowers. I think that is one of the things as part of the legendary podcast. What it will be for the listener to hear from you. What is one of your superpowers? And I ask you this because I can say that you have a lot of superpowers, and I can just put all the things right here. But sometimes even recognizing like, well, I'm good at this. I'm so fucking good at manifestation. I'm this or that. What it will be for you.
A superpower
Power.
I have. I think it is, I use the word interchangeably, but like faith slash belief.
Mm, yeah.
Even from a young age that I was told I have the gift of faith. And I think that is the greatest gift that I give other people is they come to me and I see the potential, what's possible for the individual, and I believe it 100%. And that is the belief that really essentially infuses that individual with the ability to believe in themselves. And so I would say that's my superpower, to transmute that belief and bring people along with me in raising up to these higher levels of understanding our own power and what's possible.
And you know what? I'm confirming that power because yes, you feel so much light and belief. Like even if we don't see it, like I mentioned previously, like I really resonate with that super power. Um, Again, thank you so much, and thank you for you, the people that are listening to the podcast. Like I mentioned before, I'm gonna put all the information about Megan, and I strongly suggest you to follow to check all her life work, which is really, really amazing. And I'm not saying this because she's paying me or she's here. It's because it truly is really, really amazing. All right. Thank you so much. And I will see you in the next.